What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to be talking about a movie that might seem kind of random to some of you because it came out a few years ago. But as I've discussed on the channel before, I have a podcast with my friend Ray called the Film Monsters Podcast, where we go into detail talking about different types of subject matter and look into some different films. This month we started going into seasons where we're theming our show a little bit more, and we've been talking about sci-fi. And so in a recent episode, Ray recommended a couple films that I hadn't seen for a while or had never seen. And this is one that had been on my list for a while that I really wanted to check out. He gave it really high praise. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is Leigh Whannell's Upgrade. Upgrade is directed by Leigh Whannell. A brutal mugging leaves Gray Trace, played by Logan Marshall-Green, in the hospital and his beloved wife dead. A billionaire inventor soon offers Trace a cure, an artificial intelligence implant called STEM that will enhance his body. Now able to walk, Gray finds that he also has superhuman strength and agility, skills he uses to seek revenge against the thugs who destroyed his life. So, I remember when this film came out in 2018, and I remember a lot of people giving it really high praise, saying that it was really enjoyable and a really great time, and it was exactly that. I don't think that it's a masterpiece by any means. It's not the best film I've ever watched, but it is a lot of fun, and it's one of those experiences that reminded me of like a mid-80s to early 90s action film where it's like really schlocky and over the top, but in a way that's really intentional. And the thing I like about this movie is that you can tell it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it seems like the people who were involved were just really having a great time with it. So as it says, Gray, our lead character, when the film starts, we're introduced to him and his wife works for this enormous tech company, and he works at home renovating these classic cars, and his wife rides around in this car that's like self-driving. Their house is very beautiful, it's very technologically forward, and you can tell that our lead character Gray is kind of trapped in the past. He's willing to like look at some of this technology, but he's really kind of cemented in an era that was before all of this insane technology. And so you build their relationship together, how these two come from different worlds but that they're so close. And one night they're out in the self-driving car together, and they're going through Gray's old neighborhood that he used to live in, and something happens where the car kind of goes out of control, and when it crashes, these like thugs come up on them, and they end up killing Gray's wife and paralyzing him completely, to where from the neck down he's completely paralyzed. And earlier in the film we're introduced to this young guy who Gray is working on cars for him, who he's this tech genius, and he comes to visit Gray and he says, hey, I have an ability for you to be able to walk again, but you won't be able to tell anyone about it. And he's very skeptical and put off at first, but then it's like the opportunity to be able to walk again is more enticing than anything else, and so he reluctantly agrees to do it. Well, they implant this thing in him called STEM, and when it's implanted in his body, he is able to walk again, and at first he's just blown away. And what I thought was so cool was his movements are very robotic. You can tell from early on. And then the chip inside of him, STEM, starts to communicate with him and starts helping him track down these people who killed his wife. And that is a bulk of the movie, is the two of them paired up together, where he's got these crazy like kung fu abilities that just come out of nowhere, and there's a lot of witty banter back and forth between the two of them that's really comical. And yeah, it's just this like fun action thriller. I feel like it really resembles a lot of those, like I said, mid-80s to early 90s action schlock films where like when the twist happens you kind of are ready for it, but it's still entertaining, and I thought the payoff was really good. The performances in this film are okay. I think Logan Marshall-Green's a lot of fun. There's a lot of dialogue he delivers really hammy and over the top, but I think there's an intentionality to that. It's very like RoboCop-esque, except not as satirical in the way that RoboCop has this really genius satire ladled throughout. This is just meant to be a fun, dumb time, and it really is. And the action sequences are very brutal. The violence in this film is unrelenting. It's like some of the sequences, there's one in particular in this bathroom in this like dingy ass bar that goes just absolutely nuts, and I was completely engaged through it. And I would say that about this entire film. I was completely engaged from start to finish. I just thought it was a really great time. I love these movies that look at the near future in a way that's not like overblown. So it's like you're watching this and it's not like a futuristic environment that is unbelievable. It seems close enough to the time we live in now that all of this futuristic elements, like these drones ran by the police officers that can essentially videotape any and every crime that's going on. There's so many great little details like that that really make this world immersive but also believable, which I think is really important, because when you're making a film about the future, you know, especially when you look at other science fiction films from like the 70s and the 80s looking at the future, which sometimes can land on now, is very different than the actual reality that we're living in. So I liked that it was grounded in that sense of realism as far as the world is concerned. And yeah, there's this other little plot arc where this police officer who's investigating the case becomes suspicious of Gray's character. Even though he's paraplegic, she's like seeing him end up at these crime scenes, and there's all this crazy shit that happens. And so you have that back and forth of like cop versus guy who's trying to commit vigilante justice. And it's just, it has all those hallmarks of a really fun action schlock movie. And I don't want to get too much more into it, because if you haven't seen it, it's worth going in and watching blind. It's just a ton of fun. It's really stupid, but it's a really great time. So have you seen Upgrade? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was an absolute blast. I had so much fun with it, and I really thought it was a good time. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I recently made it over 700 subscribers. It's absolutely insane, pushing closer to 1,000, and I'm really looking forward to hit that benchmark and have more people join the conversation. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.